Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing as we play the national anthems of the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of South Africa.
The land of the brave freedom fight, we have won. Glory to their bravery, whose blood waters our freedom. We give our love and loyalty to contrasting beautiful Namibia, Namibia, our country, beloved land of savannas, hold high the banner of liberty, Namibia, our country, Namibia, motherland, we love thee.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. The President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, Ministers of both the Republic of Namibia and Republic of South Africa, High Commissioners of both the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of South Africa, members of the Diplomatic Corps, CEOs, managing directors, and senior executives of both of our countries, executive directors of the Republic of Namibia and director generals of the Republic of South Africa, officials of the two governments of Namibia and South Africa, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. My name is John Steenhuisen. I'm the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition in the Republic of South Africa, and it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you today to the presidential session of this business forum. And let me say how great it is to see how many of you are here today, and I think you all deserve a round of applause for the incredible attendance. We look forward to hearing the views of the private sectors, and those are obviously aimed at strengthening and deepening the economic ties between our two countries. This business forum, as many of you know, is being held on the sidelines of the Binational Commission between our countries that was presided over today by our two presidents. Our ministers tabled progress in fulfilling the commitments that we've made to each other, and we also addressed emerging issues that affect our two countries, the SACU region and our continent as a whole. We discussed new ways to resolve non-tariff barriers and paid particular attention to how bilateral trade and collaboration could be better aligned and to complement the SACU resolutions to remove trade impediments. Your Excellencies, we will now hear from the representatives of organized business who will be telling us a little bit about the deliberations on the day. They will also share some of the resolutions undertaken by business as part of their contribution to improving the levels of trade and investment between our two countries. Advocate Mto Qulu, the President of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, will be followed by Mr. Titus Nampala, Chief Executive Officer of the Namibian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. May I take this opportunity as well to congratulate both the chambers on the signing of the MOU today, which will strengthen the private sector cooperation, and I think you both deserve a round of applause for that. We will start with the President of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Advocate Qulu, if you could please come to the stage. And we've been asked to ensure that people keep their speaking time to within the limits that were provided. I know the President's on a tight schedule. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause.
Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, ministers and deputy ministers of our respective nations, leaders of diplomatic missions, representatives of government agencies, business leaders from our two solid economies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure to provide part of the feedback of the South African-Namibia Business Forum that was held today, the 17th of July, in Gallagher Convention Center, Midrand of the Republic of South Africa. Excellencies, we confirmed that we had a solid turnout of at least 300 business delegates representing a fair measure of South African firms and Namibian firms in attendance here. And we understand that throughout the day there was a sense from other business people that they felt they could have joined us if the opportunity presents, showing the great interest in this engagement. Your Excellencies, we have structured our report into two key parts, which will cover the plenary session and the sector-focused deliberations. For each of the focus areas, we try to highlight and give a brief overview of the opportunities that we've identified, a brief summary of private sector commitments to follow through, and the assistance that we may require as identified opportunities dictate from our respective nations to make sure that we fulfill on the commitments of the Business Forum. Therefore, our report highlights few critical issues that require special consideration of our two governments in finding urgent solutions. I will now proceed to summarize some of these pertinent issues and discuss the outcomes thereof. In the plenary session, Mr. President and Dr. President of the Republic of Namibia, we initially started off discussing manufacturing and agro-processing. Naturally, as we both have our ambitions to move beyond raw minerals exports and make sure that we integrate our mineral wealth and our agro-processing capabilities to provide shared regional production networks and provide cross-border procurement chain and value chain opportunities. We went on further to highlight the need for us to continue to leverage our strategic logistics by utilizing corridors such as Lobido Corridor to improve regional connectivity and to allow even our sister countries such as the DRC to unlock minerals through the logistics that Namibia and South Africa are able to provide to the region. We also did necessarily talk about the need to cooperate in the expansion of our participation in the continental free trade area, making sure that we use this instrument to remove trade barriers and provide access to a larger integrated continental market. From the private sector, Your Excellencies, we went on to make and we declare now that as organized business, we will continue to support and provide emphasis on the development of small and medium enterprises and make them central to the partnerships that we forge ahead and deliver on commitments to ensure that they are prepared to leverage cross-border demands. As Deputy Minister Steenhuisen mentioned, Excellencies, today's event also followed through of the BNC of 2023, in that the Chambers of Commerce of South Africa and Namibia officially signed an economic cooperation agreement enabling the establishment of a joint business council as a permanent instrument for delivering economic partnerships between our nations. So we believe, colleagues, that we will now have an instrument to hold accountable from the private sector, feeding into our trade ministries and obviously adding texture and color into the continuation of the BNC. So our business forum, Mr. President and Dr. Netumbo, is confirmed now that it has an institutional base in the Chambers of Commerce to ensure that we implement and have private sector collaboration in delivering on the commitments of the business forum. Last but not least, we would like to highlight some of the areas that we believe the governments can assist us on. The entrepreneurs in the room mentioned the specific fact that we will need to develop specialized financial instruments such as guarantees, trade finance facilities, and blended finance to assist in the de-risking of cross-border trade and encourage.
One, iphutha. Two, ukuthi sijwayele ukuthi masibhuka out ama-exhibit ube nesizathu sokusho sokuthi uwabhuka out for
governments to provide policy alignment and emphasis on industrialization, supporting such ambitions like import substitutions and ultimately creating an industrial region-wide base for the continent's development. Lastly, it's something that we need to continue to work with our governments to provide an ongoing continued business climate development environment that allows for the reduction of the cost of doing business, making sure that our departments are aligned around regulatory and policy development to provide stability and build on institutions such as SACU and the Continental Free Trade Area. I will now allow my colleague, the CEO of the Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to take us through the outcomes of the sector deliberations. Thank you, colleagues.
Your Excellencies, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, please allow me to stand on the protocol that has already been established by the Director of Ceremonies. As already introduced by my colleague and counterpart, my name is Titus, and I look after Business Namibia. Before I get into the sectoral outcomes that we discussed, I wanted to take one step back and really reflect on why this occasion is momentous, why it's important for our two nations. Your Excellencies, you would recall that the establishment and the formation of this business council between our two chambers have been long in the making. In fact, we have deliberated on this for almost over 4 years, and we are very pleased to announce to both of you as our leaders that now we have an instrument that the private sector can use to engage. And we are very, very grateful that we have the leaders of the countries that are witnessing this. So those, I really wanted to highlight that. Now, in terms of what came out of the sectoral discussions after the plenary session, we had grouped ourselves into 3 groups. One on hydrogen and green energy, the other on manufacturing and industrialization, and the third one on transport and logistics corridors. If I were to spend time and really go through the key pertinent points that we discussed in the 3 groups, I was told that one, Minister Steenhuisen said we need to stick to time and understand that the presidents are on a tight schedule. I'm afraid I might keep you here until tomorrow. But I'll try and summarize. In manufacturing and industrialization, there is nothing unknown between our 2 countries that to grow your economy, you have to industrialize. There is no 2 ways about it. And we know that we both have specific advantages that we can leverage between our 2 countries. So the key thing that came out here is really collaborating and sharing of knowledge and technology instead of seeing each other as our competitors, but really as partners, and creating a way where we can have a win-win situation. The other key outcome of this discussion was the lack of skills, advanced skills that we need to grow our economies. Now, we know this is not a Namibian thing, it's not a South African thing, it's a global thing. Skills are scarce everywhere. But I think what the deliberation really highlighted is that we need to continue to strengthen how we train for the economy of the future. And at the heart of that lies science and innovation. On green energy and hydrogen, and I'm really pleased to say that Namibia is a global leader in this emerging technology. And again, the key outcome there, the highlight was how do the 2 nations collaborate? How do we ensure that between private sector, as well as especially understanding that this is an emerging economy, emerging sector, how do our governments, including the DFI, support and make sure that we can collaborate in such a way that we leverage our strength together? On logistics and transport, the key outcome here was really harmonization. How do we ensure that goods and people can move between our borders in a manner that's efficient, that's cost-effective, and that supports our ambition, not only as 2 countries, but as the SADC region, and indeed as the continent. The other highlight that was made was that for the Africa Free Trade Agreement to really be successful, we have to ensure that we can move goods and that we have transport corridors that support this ambition. The last one that I would mention here, again, it's really in terms of efficiency of goods at the borders, but this speaks to customs clearing and ensuring that the 2 systems can speak to each other. I am aware that there is discussions in the background, and we know that our economies are very well interconnected. So why can we not clear on one end and get the goods to go past the border? I'm sure we can find the modalities to do that. The private sector is asking you, Your Excellencies, please help us trade faster and efficiently. With that, I want to thank you. Ke a leboga.
Let's give them both another round of applause. I think we're very lucky to have people of such high caliber running the chambers in both of our countries. And thank you both for the insights, which were both incredibly constructive. And we really appreciate the resolve that you've taken to partner with government in finding solutions to the bottlenecks that you have identified. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please now, I have the great honor to welcome on stage Her Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia. Welcome on stage to deliver your remarks, ma'am.
Please take your seats. Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Your Excellency, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Ministers from South Africa and Namibia, members of the executive of the council, business leaders from Namibia and South Africa, may I also ask to stand on the protocol established by the Director of Ceremonies. Como President, it is with deep sense of responsibility that I'm here to address this distinguished business forum, especially because it's taking place as part of the Namibia-South Africa Binational Commission, a testimony to the growing collaboration between our two governments and our private sector. In fact, we have just concluded our work, and as a binational commission, and issues that we have agreed on definitely will have an impact on how our business people can contribute to the transformation of our economies that we have set for ourselves. And for that, I really once again like to thank the government and the people of the Republic of South Africa for hosting both the Binational Commission as well as this business forum. Namibia and South Africa share a relationship built on shared history, common values, and unwavering commitment to our region's development. Our people are connected by geography, history, culture, and commerce. And those enduring ties provide strong foundation on which we continue to build an even stronger economic partnership. Today, as we gather here with leaders from government and the private sector, we reaffirm our collective commitment to transforming our political and diplomatic relations into greater economic cooperation that delivers tangible benefit to our people. We have listened, or I've listened to the summary of the work you have done at this forum. And I must say, the 3 areas that you have identified are very much critical to our economic transformation. We talk about green energy and hydrogen. However, specifically, energy is key for industrialization. And that is why a country like Namibia, we have decided to go for mixed energy so that we can speed up our industrialization program. You cannot talk about manufacturing, you cannot talk about industrialization if you don't have the energy. Similarly, transport and logistics is key to the transformation, and that's why a country like Namibia, taking advantage of where we stand geographically and the fact that both of us are coastal towns, we can be the places to have our logistics. And that's why we are investing on infrastructures to ensure that we are a logistic hub in our region so that we can serve both our region, Africa, and the world at large. Como President, South Africa remains Namibia's largest trading partner and a significant source of investment. Likewise, Namibia continues to be an important economic partner and market for South Africa and the Southern African region. Our trade relationship has developed steadily over many decades. And for now, when we are seeing our private sector coming closer and closer together, now that they have even an instrument, I can confidently say we are on the right direction. Particularly that in Namibia, we believe the important role the private sector can play in the transformation of our economy. It's against that background, as of last year, we have initiated what we call private-public forum, where the public sector and the private sector, we sit in one room, analyze the situation, advise one another, and see how best we can develop or transform our economy. We all know that South Africa supplies Namibia with a broader range of manufactured goods, machineries, petroleum products, pharmaceuticals, vehicles, chemicals, food production, and industrial equipment. In turn, Namibia exports minerals, fish, livestock products, agricultural commodities, and other products to South Africa. This relation is significant, but it's also revealing an important reality. Much of our trades continue to follow traditional pattern, with raw material exported and high-value manufactured product imported. We have now taken a decision, and we have done so in line of a decision taken at the level of the AU, whereby it was decided that to start with, at least 15% of African raw material should not leave the continent unprocessed. Against that background, Namibia has decided to pay special attention to value addition so that there will be a balance between our export and our import. If we are to achieve sustainable and inclusive economic growth, we must progressively shift towards greater industrialization, value addition, and regional manufacturing. And this is precisely the essence of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It provides Africa with an unprecedented opportunity to build integrated regional value chain, increase intra-African trade, stimulate industrialization production, and create meaningful employment for millions of Africans. Therefore, our responsibility as governments is to ensure that these opportunities translated into practical outcome for businesses and citizens alike. I have listened to what our business people are saying. What are the responsibilities of our government? And one thing that came out is that our business people, they want us to facilitate this smooth trade between our two countries. And together, we'll be able to do that. Namibia is implementing an ambitious economic transformation program to position our country as a competitive investment destination and a strategic gateway to Southern Africa. And we strongly believe, working closely with the South Africa government and the private sector, together we'll be able to achieve. We need to continue strengthening our logistic infrastructures through the Port of Walvis Bay and the Walvis Bay corridors, which provide efficient access to regional and international markets. In any case, together with South Africa, we can develop all our corridors. To mention the Kunene Corridor, the Trans-Caprivi Corridor, the Trans-Kalahari Corridor, and the Orange Corridor. Once we develop those, we know that as two countries, we will be able to serve our region better, the continent, and of course the whole world. Our economy offers significant investment opportunity across a number of strategic sectors, and this includes agriculture and agro-processing, metals and mining, manufacturing, chemicals and alliance industry, financial services, energy and transport. In fact, we have identified our strategic priority areas as well as the enablers. The priority areas are agriculture, sports, youth empowerment, education and training, health, creative industry, land, housing and sanitation, while the enablers are mining, agriculture, fishery, tourism, logistics and transport, and oil and gas. And if together we can pay attention to those areas, surely those sectors present enormous opportunity for collaboration between Namibia and South African business. South African companies possess significant expertise in manufacturing, financial services, engineering, mining technologies, telecommunication, automotive production, logistic and industrial development. And together, we can be more innovative and transform our economies together. On the other hand, Namibian enterprises offer partnership opportunity through access to natural resources, strategic infrastructures, investment incentives, and emerging industries. So together we can develop regional value chain that increase local production, strengthen industrial competitiveness, and reduce dependency imported manufacturing goods from outside the African continent. Como President, Namibia's recent oil and gas discovery, together with our world-class renewable energy potential and our ambitious green hydrogen program, offer an opportunity for strategic partnership with South African investors, technology providers, and financial institutions. Thus, there is room for collaboration across all generation, electricity generation, power transmission, battery minerals value chain, and the development of clean energy industry that support Africa's transition to low carbon economy. This partnership has the potential not only to strengthen the two economies, but also to contribute significantly to regional energy security. In agriculture, climate-smart agriculture, livestock production, agro-processing, seeds technology, irrigation system, and food security incentives all present opportunities for enhanced collaboration. By investing together in agriculture value chain, we can improve food security, increase export, and create sustainable employment across our rural communities and take our people out of poverty and then realize the balanced prosperity that we are all yearning for. Similarly, our tourism sector has considerable scope for cooperation through multi-destination tourism package that showcase the rich natural beauty, wildlife, and cultural heritage of Southern Africa. I'll recall this is one of the sectors we were developing through the Trans-Frontier Conservation Areas. And I believe there's still room for us to pay attention to that. Namibia's strategic location on the Atlantic coast complements South Africa's sophisticated industrial base and transport infrastructure. By strengthening transport corridor, custom cooperation, digital trade facilitation, and close-border logistics, we can significantly reduce the cost of doing business and improve regional connectivity. And this is exactly the request that we got from our private sector, as mentioned this afternoon. Your Excellency, governments have an important responsibility to create an enabling environment where business can thrive. Investors require policy certainty, as they have mentioned it, and we are working on that. Transparent regulatory system, efficient institution, reliable infrastructure, and sound governance. Namibia remains fully committed to maintain a stable, rule-based, and investor-friendly environment that protects investment, that promotes investment, protects property rights, and supports sustainable economic growth. The private sector must seize the opportunities created by regional integration. Our business must become more innovative, competitive, and ambitious. They must invest in technology, skill development, research, and industrial capacity. They must also embrace the partnership that strengthens regional value chain and unlock new markets under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Economic cooperation must ultimately improve the lives of our people. Its success should be measured not only by trade statistics or investment figures, but also by the number of decent jobs created, the enterprises established, and the industries developed, and the opportunity provided for women, youth, and small and medium business enterprises. And I'm happy during this business forum, you said yourself you are paying attention to this sector. We therefore encourage investment to promote skill transfer, technological development, entrepreneurship, and local value chain. Such investment will ensure that economic growth contributes directly to poverty reduction and shared prosperity. Como President, today's business forum provides an opportunity, a platform for building new partnership and strengthening the existing ones. Let us move behind dialogue towards concrete business agreements. Joint ventures, expanded trade technology, exchange development for regional manufacturing capacity, and investment in sectors that advance industrialization and economic diversification that will create lasting value for both our countries. The future of Southern Africa depends on strong regional cooperation, greater industrial competitiveness, and a shared commitment to sustainable development. Together, Namibia and South Africa have the capacity to demonstrate what meaningful regional integration can achieve. As we work towards the aspiration of Agenda 2063 of the African Union and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, let us continue to build resilience, inclusive economies driven by Africa innovation, investment, and enterprise. I remain confident that today's discussion and engagements will further strengthen the strategic economic partnership between Namibia and South Africa and contribute to the greater prosperity of our people. I wish you a productive, successful business forum, and let this really be a beginning of bigger things to come. We believe on the role of the private sector for us to transform our economy in order to serve our people better. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you. Thank you very much, Excellency, for, I think, what we can all say was a deeply inspiring contribution to this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to welcome His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Matamele Cyril Ramaphosa, to the podium. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Thank you. Program Director, Deputy Minister Steenhuisen, Your Excellency President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, ministers who are here present and deputy ministers, high commissioners, and other members of the diplomatic corps, directors generals of our governments, other leading officials of our respective governments, business leaders who are here present and other business people. It is indeed a real pleasure and a great honor to welcome our Namibian sisters and brothers to South Africa. And I'd like to thank you, President Nandi Ndaitwah, for having taken your time to come to South Africa during our binational summit, and also to spend time with business leaders who have come in their great numbers, and I believe that there are 350 or so, representing businesses from both South Africa and Namibia. So we truly thank you, and I really would like to truly appreciate your presence here. And I often say, whenever I have an opportunity to address business people, and I told President Nandi Ndaitwah about this experience that I usually have when I meet business people or I have to address them. I say this because I didn't do biology at school, but I've taken trouble now to teach myself things biological. And one of those things is smell. I want to understand what smell does and how the human body interprets smell. And I'm told that smell is one of the oldest and most powerful human senses. It was one of the very original ones. As we developed into the human beings that we are, we were guided less by sight, but more by smell. So what you smell goes through, and Dr. Mutsualedi is here, who is a medical doctor, and I'm sure there are a few others. They will know how the body interprets smell. So each time I get into a room full of business people, I often ensure that my smell sensory glands go up, like an antenna goes up, because I want to smell something that's different from what I smell in the kitchen, or even in the cabinet room. You know, you get into the cabinet room, you don't really smell something significant. But when you get into a meeting with business leaders, you smell something. And I always smell money. I always smell money. And every time I say that, the accountants in the room are the ones who become nervous. And the lawyers in the room immediately start looking for a disclaimer. And the tax consultants, they often wonder whether I am from SARS or not, whether the tax collection officers ask me to come. But I must tell you, I told President Nandi Ndaitwah that we're going to a business forum. I said, President, just ensure that your nostrils are clear so that you can feel that smell, or you can sense that smell. But today, what I am really smelling here is more than money. I am smelling opportunity. I'm smelling opportunity here. You know what else I smell? I smell factories that are being built. I am smelling businesses that are expanding. I am smelling people who are finding jobs. That is the kind of money our countries need to grow our economy. So you are the people who are here who can do that for us. So this business forum takes place at an important moment in the relationship between our two nations. Earlier today, President Nandi Ndaitwah and myself, aided by our ministers and our officials, we concluded the 4th session of the South Africa-Namibia Binational Commission. I call it a summit because when two presidents meet together with their ministers and deputy ministers and key officials, that is a summit. It's like we've climbed Kilimanjaro and we've reached the summit, or Mount Everest, if you like. Our discussions reaffirmed what history has long taught us, that South Africa and Namibia are strongest when they work together. Our two nations are bound together by geography, by history, by the enduring bonds that were forged during our common struggle for liberation. Today, however, we gather not to reflect on the past alone. We gather to shape our shared future. And President Nandi Ndaitwah mapped out in much clearer terms, in much clearer economic terms, precisely what that future is. That future will not be determined only by governments. It will be determined by entrepreneurs like yourselves who identify new opportunities, by investors who take calculated risks. It will also be shaped by innovators, people who create things, people who solve problems. And it will also be shaped by workers whose talent and dedication helps to transform ideas into productive enterprises. Business has a decisive role to play in translating the political friendship between our two countries into a lasting economic prosperity landscape. Political solidarity must become economic partnership. Namibia and South Africa are joined at the hip, and we've been joined at the hip for the longest time. We're like Siamese twins who will never really be separated. Shared history must become shared prosperity. Friendship must become investment. The world economy is changing rapidly as we see unfolding before our eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Global supply chains are being reconfigured, and some of them are being reconfigured through bombs, through fighter jets, bombing cities, bombing oceans and all that. Countries are seeking trusted partners. The transition to cleaner energy is creating entirely new industries such as green hydrogen, whereas it was correctly put forward by one of the business leaders that Namibia is leading. Digital technologies are reshaping production and trade. At a time like this, South Africa and Namibia have a remarkable opportunity, and that is the opportunity I'm smelling. Rather than competing against one another, we should, as the two nations that are friendly, that are neighbors, we should position ourselves as complementary economies capable of serving regional, continental, and global markets. We have enormous opportunities and enormous endowments as two countries. Together, we can become a gateway for investment into Southern Africa. Together, we can build regional value chains that create jobs across our borders. And the border that exists between our two countries is just a line. We are one people, and we should be working together, investing in one another's economies. And I'm so glad that there are so many business people from both sides Sometimes whenever we have these business forums, you only find a few from one country and more from the other. So here, even as I walked in, I found and I could see that there are quite a number from both sides. Together we can demonstrate that African countries grow faster when they integrate their economies, when they don't compete to the death, where if they compete on a complementary basis. This is precisely the vision that underpins the African Continental Free Trade Area. And I've often said, like countries in Europe, they are able to form cooperations that they own jointly. And I can think of a company that makes aeroplanes. It's Airbus. Airbus is owned, I don't know how many countries in Europe. They make parts in one country of a plane and another parts in another country and another country. Either they make the wheels, the engine, the gearbox, the switches, and the aeronautical guiding systems or whatever, but they combine that, and that shows their strength. And I've often said that we should find something that we do together that consolidates our unity. The unity that we had during the days of struggle should now be translated into the unity that we demonstrate economically, where our companies complement each other and where our companies operate across these artificial borders. But having said that, the progress we have made is encouraging. Trade between our two countries has grown substantially over recent years. South Africa remains Namibia's largest trading partner. This demonstrates both the strength of our relationship and the confidence our businesses have in one another. Yet, we should not be satisfied. We should do much more. Yes, trade has grown, but it remains concentrated in relatively narrow range of products. South Africa exports a diversified basket of manufactured goods and services to Namibia. Namibia's exports to South Africa remain heavily concentrated in minerals, particularly gold, and it exports uranium to other countries. President was telling me that there's one country that would close down its power station if it didn't get uranium from Namibia. So Namibia has a strategic position in some of the key products that it produces, whether natural or otherwise. Diversification is therefore an important area. We need to seek out diversification. It is, in the end, an economic necessity that we should diversify. A more diversified trading relationship between our two nations will make both our economies more resilient. They will create higher value industries and generate more sustainable employment. Investment presents an even greater opportunity. South African companies have invested significantly in Namibia over many years. Now, these investments have contributed to Namibia's industrial development, to its financial services, to its mining, retail, and telecommunication sectors. We now wish to see far more greater two-way investment. We encourage Namibian companies, and some of you who have come here, you should have come here with a mission to come and see and invest. We want to see South African companies South Africa not only as a destination for exports, but as a destination for investment, innovation, as well as a long-term relationship or partnership. Likewise, we encourage South African companies themselves to deepen their investments in Namibia's productive economy. The objective should not simply be to sell more products across our border. It should be to manufacture together, to innovate together, to compete together in regional and international markets. Governments have a responsibility, yes, to make this easier. I've often said, Southern Africa is almost like the real jewel of tourism in the world. Many other countries north of the equator treat tourism as one of their biggest revenue earners, and they are not as beautiful as we are. Southern Africa is the best that you can ever get in the world, I promise you that. Because you can come and visit a desert, even 2 deserts, the Namib Desert and the Kalahari. You can move from there and go to Cape Town, go and visit the best sort of port or what do we call it? City near the sea. And you can move from there and go to Gqeberha, you can move and go to Durban, and you can then go into the hinterland, go and visit the best game parks in the world. And you can go into Botswana, into Mozambique, and you can go to Zimbabwe as well. So I've often said we must put this together as a package, attract those people, long-haul visitors to come to Southern Africa and visit our countries collectively, and not just come to one. Come and see the splendors of Southern Africa. And this is something that should be led by the private sector. And that is where government will then join you and assist you and enable you to package our region as the best region, best place to visit in the world. We have therefore agreed to continue in order to help the private sector. As President Nandi Ndaitwah was saying, we've agreed that we are going to remove unnecessary obstacles to trade and investment so that you can do all this that we are dreaming of. Our investment promotion agencies should work together to provide practical support for businesses entering each other's markets. They should simplify processes, improve information sharing, and assist our companies, particularly small and medium enterprises that tend to employ more people than your big-size companies, that they should expand across our borders. The Southern African Customs Union remains one of our greatest strategic assets. The countries in our region that belong to the oldest customs union have now decided that we are going to utilize this as a great economic enabler. South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, as members of SACU, we should utilize this important vehicle to grow our economies. As the world's oldest customs union, SACU has demonstrated remarkable resilience. Today, it is evolving to meet the demands of a changing global economy. Our recent summit agreed that SACU must become an engine of industrialization, of regional value chains, and greater competitiveness. Now, the priority sectors we have identified, which President Nandi Ndaitwah elaborated on quite greatly, are agro-processing, meat and leather, fruit and vegetables, textiles and clothing, cosmetics and essential oils, offer significant opportunities for joint investment. But beyond that, we want to do much more, higher-end things, focus on the green economy and many more new industries. South Africa's special economic zones and Namibia's industrial development initiatives provide an ideal platform for these partnerships. And I encourage businesses gathered here today to move beyond discussions, to identify concrete projects that will strengthen these regional value chains. And come to us. Come to us with your ideas. As governments, we will listen, we will take note, and we will give assistance where we are able to and where we must. So, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the greatest opportunity before us lies in the industries of the future. Now, Namibia's extraordinary energy resources, renewable energy resources, position it to become a global leader in green hydrogen production, as one of the business leaders was saying here. South Africa contributes advanced industrial capabilities, the engineering expertise, the research institutions we have, sophisticated financial markets that are respected globally, world-class ports, and an expanding manufacturing base. So that's what we bring. And Namibia brings one of their most important and global endowments. Together, we can establish Southern Africa as a globally competitive hub for green hydrogen and green industrialization. The same applies to critical minerals, renewable energy, logistics, digital infrastructure, data centers, advanced manufacturing, tourism, as I was talking about, agriculture, financial services, and the blue economy. We are surrounded by 4,700 kilometers of sea, and we combine the portion that Namibia has and the portion that South Africa has. It is powerful, it is massive. Now, these are sectors where our comparative advantages complement one another. They are sectors that can create thousands of quality jobs for our young people and also for our mid-aged people going up. Business succeeds where there is confidence. Confidence grows where governments provide policy certainty, which you've said you want to see, invest in infrastructure, which we are both as two governments committed to doing. You heard how President Nandi Ndaitwah was talking about the corridors that are being developed. Yes, government has to lead, and government has to hunt down investors who can come and invest in all those corridors, the Kunene corridor, the Kalahari corridor, and many others. And those are projects that we will lead in. But yes, governments also must lead with upholding the rule of law and create an environment in which enterprises can flourish. South Africa is committed to implementing the reforms that we have embarked upon, and reforms that I know are also being embarked upon in Namibia to improve our investment climate, to expand infrastructure, to strengthen institutions, and to unlock faster economic growth. And this we have seen in real practice. We have seen how, as we began our own reform process or journey, with our energy supply, which was challenged and which was leading to many businesses losing confidence in our economy, which was also bringing levels of productivity down because, as the President said, without energy, you can forget it. And so therefore, we had to implement reforms in that regard. We are implementing reforms in our logistics sector, our ports and our rail. So all those are beginning to pay dividends. So we invite Namibian investors to become part of this journey that we have embarked upon. Ladies and gentlemen, the generation that came before us secured for us political freedom. Our generation, you can applaud that, they did that. Our generation's responsibility is to secure economic freedom. And I want to hear you applaud to that even louder. Now, we owe it to our people to build economies that create opportunity rather than exclusion. Both our countries lived under the terror of apartheid. You know that. And apartheid meant that both our peoples, the majority thereof, were excluded. Now, our generation's task is to ensure that we build economies that are going to include people. We owe it to our young people to create jobs that restore hope and dignity. Our two countries have a huge burden of youth unemployment. And each time President Nandi Ndaitwah and myself talk, the first thing we talk about is jobs. Young people's unemployed situation concerns us. So what we do as business people working together with government is to create jobs, is to bring hope and dignity to those young people who do not have jobs. And we owe it to future generations to build a Southern African region that is more integrated, more competitive, and more prosperous. Let this forum not be remembered merely for the speeches that were delivered here, including what I am saying. Let it be remembered for the partnerships that we've been able to forge. And I am hugely impressed that our two business chambers, as Deputy Minister Steenhuisen was telling us, have signed a memorandum of agreement. Now, this is history in the making. And I applaud our two chambers for having had the foresight to ensure that they cooperate, because out of that cooperation will come greater things, will come great things that can be announced in the future. Let us leave, therefore, this summit or this forum determined to transform friendships into enterprise. I often say that when business people meet, they must make sure that they move from contact that they make here to contract. And I hope you've done that. Yeah? I hope you've been able to have some contracts that have been concluded. Otherwise, you were wasting your time if you didn't do that. You were sleeping through this forum. So there is opportunity for investment and cooperation, and that will result in a shared prosperity. The next chapter in the relationship between Namibia and South Africa should not be written only by governments. And as President said, we listen very carefully to your proposals. Proposals that say, in order for you to move ahead, you need assistance. On the trade side, yes, we will implement the reforms that will enable you to trade a lot better, remove all the regulatory inhibitors, remove all the challenges, the red tape that you keep on having. But then again, I then say, raise the issues with us. Don't suffer quietly, because sometimes you see red tape and you suffer alone and you don't talk about it. If there is red tape, raise it, tell us, and even propose what we should do to remove that red tape. You are citizens of our countries. Yes, that gentleman who is standing there. Yes, I am absolutely happy that you are standing to talk about red tape, but I'm not going to allow you to talk. I'm the only one who's talking now. So you can sit down. You'll talk to me later. You also want assistance on finance. You want assistance on finance? Yes, we are determined to come up with finance instruments that will enable you, particularly you who are part of the businesses that were excluded in the past, because we should never forget our past, and our past is very similar. And yes, the guarantees that you may need in order to get into trade. And yes, we are going to enable efficiency in our ports and make sure that our ports work so that when you sell your goods into the rest of the continent and abroad, they move quickly, swiftly, and without much cost. It should be written by entrepreneurs who build businesses, the workers, that is this future we want, who create value, the innovators who develop new technologies, and the investors who have confidence to back Africa's future. That's what we want you to do to write a new future. Together, I believe that we can build not merely a stronger partnership between our two countries, but a stronger and more prosperous Southern Africa. A Southern Africa that's on the move, a Southern Africa that will be looked at by the rest of the world as a real development precinct where we become a landscape of progress, where we create jobs, we build new industries, and surge forward to the future. I thank you for this opportunity of being here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for those inspiring words. I see you even had people on their feet, which was a good thing. But like all good things, they do come to an end. And so to all of you ladies and gentlemen and to our distinguished guests, as we conclude this business forum today, I wish to thank most particularly our Namibian guests who have traveled very far and have come to have very robust conversations with their South African counterparts. To the business people of both of our countries, please receive our gratitude, not just for your participation today, but for the solutions that you've offered, the deals that you've struck, and the joint ventures that you should all hopefully be entering into shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please ask us all to be upstanding as the presidents take leave of the room.
I'll